Well, good evening, all. Ira Epstein, and here we are on one wild trading day, and it was wild, vicious, violent, volatility galore for this November 6th, 2024. You already saw the sweep to date that the Republicans have done, the surprise, and it is a surprise. The pollsters had this totally wrong. Had to, in order for us to be able to declare at 3:30 in the morning that Trump was the president. Fox did it earlier, but all the other networks, once Michigan was declared in the Trump camp, that did the game in. All right. I'm not going to go into Ukraine, Israel, all the little things that can be impacted here. I'm going to do that when we get to the financial update. This is about metals. That's what this update is. And we'll focus on a couple of things. Number one, the dollar soared today. That's certainly an enemy of the metal markets. Number two, interest rates soared today. You're back to 4.43 in the 10-year note. You haven't been there since July, so you've come all the way back. And that means, as I have been teaching you and showing you, from the September rate cut, you've basically wiped out everything that the Fed did and added yield, if anything. And now the Fed's going to go again. So you got to say, what's going on? We have to understand the difference here, and I'll discuss that in the financial update. Let's stay with the metals at this point. So you take a look at all that. Energy prices today were a little bit of everywhere. All right, let's take a look at the data for tomorrow, because that's going to be important. You have two big bank announcements. You've got, well, actually, the bank is the Bank of England, but then we have our Federal Reserve. So little different names here. They're both going. We'll get it at noon London time. You will get the decision from the Bank of England. It's expected they're going to cut rates a quarter point. Federal Reserve is expected to cut at 1 o'clock Central Time its interest rate, the key rate, by a quarter point. And then it'll be what these different bankers that run this say. The press conference in the U.S. is going to be important, because I'm certain, going to be asked, now that there's administration changes, what do they see, so on and so forth. And they won't get them cornered. It's not going to happen that way. There'll be questions about the independence of the Fed that we're all going to ask, because, as you know, under Trump before, he didn't like the fact that he had no say in monetary policy as the president. I frankly think that Congress should keep this separation of powers a door closed there. That's what you want your central bank to do. If it becomes politicized, you got a big problem. You're going to get jobless claims at 7:30 in the morning. They're expected to be up slightly, very slightly. Non-farm productivity data at 7:30, probably down a little bit as the initial call. Wholesale inventories and sales data, then the natural gas storage numbers. So keep your eye on all that. It's going to be very important. All right. So now let's go, if we could, and take a look at what we've got here in the chart action. And in the chart action, if you look at gold, we're having our first reasonable correction on a weekly basis. You're almost down 3%. Big break. Could the market go back to the 18-week average of closes? It could. Is there anything here saying it has to? No, but that it could do. When you look at what happened here, if you come into this chart action prior to just now, this is what you looked at. It's almost a mini head and shoulder formation. A shoulder, the concept of another shoulder ahead, a mini one. And if you flip it over from 2,800, let's say, to 2,750 for all purposes, maybe you get to the 27 level on a potential of that move. You got a little bit under it, and we'll see if you can bounce. I'm just giving you how some analysts like me will look at the chart action and try to figure it out. What else? When we look at the swing line and I come back, the game was a little bit different. And here's why it was different. If it'll let me do this. Yeah, it will. There we go. Coming in, you had a downtrend. Lower highs, lower lows. It's certainly what I would have said last night. Then you break down like that. Where were you? You were at the 18-day average fighting a battle, and let's get there so you can see this unroll it too. And it's important, that's why I'm doing it. You had come down, and the big question is, was this going to hold the market or not? This was your initial objective. I'm going to come over here for a reason. You can see that from there, you fell today and went to the lower Bollinger Band, and just magically, if you didn't have this on the chart, you'd go, why did the market stop there? When you look at it, you understand it's because so many people look at this algorithm and they understand the importance of it. Some people think it's the only thing I use. You couldn't be more wrong in what you're saying. I use 5 indicators. Each one is super important. This happens to tell me where the market's at from a top and bottom point of view, because you will stay within the bands 95% of the time. The moving averages are just as important, and just as important again are slow stochastic numbers. I do look from time to time at swing lines, of course. They're going to tell me the other part. There's 5 indicators. You're not seeing window envelopes here. They're extremely important. Not quite as important as Bollinger Bands, but right by them. So you got to know how to work with those from my point of view. I teach this all in my charting course. But this is free what you're getting. You're getting what it's worth. It's free. So this is where the market comes down to, and this is where I think the battle's going to shape up now. Could the market go lower? Well, we saw that you could. If you're going to go over on that other chart where we were looking at the first one, you know, on the weekly closes and the 18-week average of closes, you could get there. I'm not expecting it, but you could get there. Is there any reason to be adding to longs right here on this chart? Absolutely not. Not one reason in any way. Do I have futures traders in any manner long this? Then we get to the gold-silver market. Well, you can see that silver has been losing the gold. You've stayed over the 18-week average. You're back into a whole resistance point right here from the 86 level into, let's call it 84, and you're playing your game right there. When you look at silver, you're coming into the major support. You went down to the Bollinger Band already. Let's see how close you got, just so I can prove a point. 30.94 was today's low, and the Bollinger Band's 30.88.5, all right? Now, tomorrow, maybe you hit it, maybe you don't. You're close enough. You've come from all this way down, and you're already getting into oversold territory. And if you get there, you're going to have the next support of the 30.67 to 30.85. But look at how far this market's come down. Give it some credit, this work. The work was taking you out against the Bollinger Band area here. The market never embedded. And now you've come off that top. For all purposes, what? $5 out of a $35 amount. No, that's not small potatoes. That's a sizable correction in the market. In the copper, yesterday, I was telling you, let's go to yesterday. Go to the videos. They're there. I said that I don't know why you're up like this. China, I've read everywhere. I'm not seeing that they've done a thing. I have a problem with that picture. You're overbought. You're at the Bollinger Band. I wouldn't be surprised if you get a pullback. We'll see what the election holds. That's basically what I was doing. I don't write any of this out, but I know what I would say approximately on each one. Well, I certainly didn't see this kind of break coming in the market today. If you did, congratulations. You're much more clairvoyant than I am at that point. And I say that because you were down 5% or 23 cents. You think that's a little bit of money in this market? That's a real lot of money. We're dealing in thousands of dollars on a futures contract. So the market basically fell apart. I think it's going to have trouble staying under its first re-challenge of the 100-day, the 200-day average in the Bollinger Band. We'll see what tomorrow offers. It doesn't have to come back in one day, but I think that's a problem for that. Platinum is finding its support in all those averages. It's acting way better than the copper. You were under the 18-day average. You've been there. The trend has been down. As I said, I was looking for support beginning at the 100-day average, and I could show you just what we were talking about, and I'll come back to last night. I'm looking for support here. There's certainly nothing bullish on that chart, but you're oversold. I'm looking for between here, the 100-day average to the Bollinger Band, to be the major support zone. You reached into that, and this is where you're at right now. So the work is doing what it should. You might say, well, let's go short, and I'll go why in an oversold condition like that. It either embeds or the market's saying to the pro trader, I think I walk away. The market's used a lot of power there. In the dollar, you exploded to the upside after you had lost a bullish embedded reading, pulled back to the 18-day average, and for 3 days fought on it, and finally with the Trump win, this market took off to the upside. That's the way that I'm looking at it, and that's the importance. Now, when you get to the financial update, I'll review some of the facts. I'm going to do some special reports, a 5-minute, if I call them, a short podcast tomorrow for you. And I will be also, I'm in that video in it, but I want you to be aware. So, if you're interested, you can just go at this point. Let me get this set up in the right way for you, and here you go. Yeah. Take advantage of our free offers by going to iraepstein.com, free offers. Really simple to do. When you do so, you're going to see these different parts. They're here on this page that you just scroll to in the free offers. You click on any of these that you'd want to get, say, select this offer, give it a click. At the bottom of the page, as you get there, you're going to see you put your name, your address in, and you go. You get the charting software, access to my written updates if you haven't seen it, access to the morning subscriber videos. These are not subscriber videos. These are just free videos that I do to give you an idea on certain markets. But I'm covering 40 charts at a time in the videos, 40 markets at a time, if you will, in the futures contracts. That's how that works. And over that in the Spider ETF ones as we do those. So take advantage, learn. That's the key here. iraepstein.com, free offers, or move your cursor up to the top. You'll see an icon, give it a click. I'm Ira. Have a great day.